Hello and welcome to another edition of Learning in Bits. Today, my focus is mostly on texturing, and I'm going to use this lamp model that we already have to explain my approach to texturing. Obviously, there are so many ways you can approach this process. I'm going to show you just one of the ways, and hopefully, we can get something out of it. So my first step normally when I want to texture is to change my workspace from general. If I click here, you will notice that there are so many options for the different workspaces. So I'm going to click on UV editing. But before we go ahead, what exactly do we mean by texturing? It's good to have a good foundation. Texturing can be defined as the process of controlling the appearance of the surface of your model. If we take this surface here, we want to control how it looks, and that means you can control things like how it shines, the reflectivity, the transparency, how smooth or rough it looks, and this can be done through the process of texturing. But then when we talk about texturing also, you have to talk about things like unwrapping and UV mapping. Just to put this into context, what is UV mapping and unwrapping? In order to avoid distortions like seams and stretching when texturing, you first need to unwrap the mesh. Unwrapping is the process of cutting and flattening the 3D model into 2D layouts so it can be easily mapped or textured. And all of this will make sense when we start adding textures to this lamp. So UV mapping is defined as a process whereby a 2D image is projected on a 3D surface. So what we're trying to do is to project a 2D image on this 3D surface. So UV stands for horizontal. You can see horizontal, and then vertical is the V coordinates of the image. So all of this corresponds to the X, Y, and Z of the model. So I think I'm going to start with this one here. So what will be my approach to unwrapping this? I think for this, I'm going to use one of the options we have here. And if I click on UV, right here, you will notice that we have a series of UVs. So I'm going to use one of these options. I'll click on the UV planar mapping and the option box, and you will notice now that we have this option of deciding where are we projecting from. So I think if you look at my gizmo, you can tell that the Y is projecting from the top. I'm going to choose the Y axis and I will say project. Now you will notice that this mapping has been done projecting from the Y axis. Also, I need to cut a portion of this mesh here so that everything can be flattened. So remember, with UV mapping, we want to flatten this 3D mesh in a way that we can wrap a 2D texture over it. So I'm going to double click and it selects that entire rim for me. And my goal will be to cut it open there so that I can unfold it properly. If I come to this option here that says cut and sew, I will click and I will cut it. You'll notice now that there's a new cut here, and I'm just going to take out these colors so that they don't get in the way of what we're trying to do. I'm going to go right click here and select shell. If I click on this shell, you will notice that I have two shells. This represents the bottom of the lamp, and that represents the top of the lamp stand. So I'm going to move this shell away for now. And while it's still selected, I'm going to use this option that says unfold. I will unfold it a couple of times. I can also optimize it a couple of times. I will do the same thing here. I will unfold it a couple of times. What unfolding does is it tries to open up that mesh in a way that is completely flat. So I'm going to click on optimize a couple of times. And you will notice now that I have this top part of the lamp base has been unwrapped. I can rotate it if I want to. I can move it. So I'm happy with this, and I'm going to move it away for now. One way to tell that you have done it properly is if you activate this checker map. If you click on it, you will notice now that this mesh here has been properly unwrapped. You'll notice that we have something that looks more like a square. All right, we need to make sure that the checker is square. If it's not square, if it's stretchy like you have here, that means you have to fix it. Either optimize it a couple of times. Okay, so I'm just scaling it down a bit to make it more manageable, and I'll place it here. If I zoom out, you can see now that I have very good representation of the mesh, and I'm happy with that. For this portion, I think I'm just going to keep it simple. I will scale this down a bit. I will move it out for now, and I think I'll just do the same thing for this one. I'll select that. I'll scale it down because I just want to make the texturing quite simple, so that's why I'm doing it. I'm trying to keep it simple. Then for this top, select that. I'll go to UV and I'll do planar mapping. I want to map it from the Z axis. Let's see what it looks like. I'm going to come in right here to cut it. Firstly, at this edge, I'll double click and I'll cut it there. I'll go inside also. I'll double click on that and I'll cut it. Now I'm going to take each shell. I'm going to move it out for now, somewhere there. This represents the back of the lamp. I'm going to take it out for now. This represents the cover of the lamp. Take it out for now, and that should be the bulb. For that bulb, I'm just going to keep it simple. Okay, I'm just going to unfold that first. So this represents the inside of the lamp head. I'll take the edge for now. I'll now try to sew them. I think I can actually select this. I'll sew that. So this shell represents the inside of the headlamp. I'm just going to unfold it a couple of times. I'm happy with that. So my goal now will be to unfold all of this a couple of times. I'll do this also. Unfold it. I will unfold this. And what else do I need to unfold? I think this is the inside one. I'm thinking I can merge these edges and then unfold them. You see, when you click on one side of the edge, the other side is highlighted. So let's try something. I'm going to select all of these and I'll sew them. And I'll go to the edge, select that and unfold it. Yes, so that looks good. Now I'm also thinking maybe I can actually just take this edge and look for the corresponding edge and stitch them together because they belong together. And I can select all of these edges here and I'll sew them. I'll select the shell, I will unfold it a couple of times and can also optimize it. Now you can see we have one shell that represents the inside of the lamp, and this I think belongs to this part. Let's check that. I'll click on the edge. You can see that this portion is highlighted and I'm just going to stitch together, and I can select all of these here and sew them. You can now see that we have two shells, one representing the inside and one representing the outside of the lamp head. We can obviously scale it down a bit. I'm going to just bring it closer for now. The next thing we have to do is unwrap this. I think I'm going to keep this simple. I'll just select that because I think it's the top part of that symmetry there, and I'm just up to unfold it a couple of times. Unfold that. It's not going to be seen anyway, so I won't stress too much about it. I will unfold this a couple of times. Yeah, so this shell represents this part of the geometry. I'll do the same thing for this geometry here. Now I think I have one shell that represents that part of the geometry, and I'm happy with this. Alright, so that concludes this session of unwrapping. So we've been able to unwrap all of these meshes. In the next video, I'm going to show you how we can put everything into our 0 to 1 space and export it for texturing. Okay, don't forget to subscribe. I know it's a long video, but then once you get a hang of texturing, it's going to be fun when you texture multiple and very complex shapes. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.